Committee meeting for the City of Salinas. Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Rocha,
Here.
Councilmember Osornio,
Here. And Mayor Craig will not be here today as she is not feeling well. So we're going to start off with our public comment. Public comment is generally limited to 2 minutes per speaker, and it is for items that are not on today's agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of this committee. So we will open up for public comment in the council chambers. Seeing none in the council chambers, we will go out to Zoom.
there's no comments.
Seeing none on Zoom, we'll move on to our consent agenda. We have one item on consent, which is the minutes from our October 10th meeting. If any member of this committee would like to pull the item for discussion, now would be the time. If not, I would entertain a motion on the item.
Motion to approve?
I'll second your item. It is on. It's a little bit low. Can we higher the microphone on yours? Okay, thank you so much. We'll go out for public comment on our consent agenda, which we have one item, which is our minutes. Seeing none in the rotunda, we'll go out to Zoom. Seeing
No comments.
none on Zoom, we'll come back for consideration items. The first item of consideration is our property tax forecast, ID 23670.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Acting Committee Chair and Committee Member. The item before, my name is Selena Andrews, Assistant Finance Director. The item before you is a property tax update for 23-24. As background, you may recall that the city consults with HDL to provide support services for the city in terms of verifying and analyzing tax collections compared to what the county assessor provides the city. This is their review and analysis of that comparison. I'd like to point out some of the data points from the staff report. Property tax is about 22% of the total general fund, and we saw 4.8% growth. 14.5 billion was the total taxable value in the city of Salinas. 14.5. My apologies, 10.2 billion of that was residential. And through September, the median sales price for single-family residential homes is $675,000. And 1.9 billion of the total is commercial. 924 million is unsecured. And that was an increase due to 2 significant assessments. So that was an increase of about 10%. 904 million is industrial, and we saw a drop of that due to one parcel that was assessed. And that concludes the report. Staff is available for questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee?
No questions, thank you.
I have no questions myself. So we'll go out for public comment. Any members of the public who would like to comment on this agenda item? Seeing none in the rotunda, we'll go out to Zoom.
No comments as well.
None on Zoom. We'll bring it back for final comments.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is a consideration item, but I do not have the, let me see here. Does this require a motion? I don't think so. Does this require a motion, this item?
It says it's recommended finance.
Just to receive the report. My apologies.
So we will deem this report received, and we'll move on to the California Welcome Center update.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Lisa Brinton, Community Development Director, on behalf of Michael Gomez, Economic Development Analyst. I'll be presenting the quarterly report. Since June of 2011, the city has entered into an agreement with the Salinas Valley Tourism and Visitors Bureau to financially support the operation of a California Welcome Center. And this is funded through a tourism improvement district assessment in which the city collects $2 per room night and retains 50 cents per room night to go towards promoting Salinas events and attractions, as well as increasing overnight stays. On September 20, I'm sorry, I paused. I don't have a clicker to move forward. Next slide. On September 12th of 2023, the City Council approved the 23-24 agreement between the City of Salinas and the Visitors Bureau to operate the California Welcome Center. And at that time, staff also was directed by the council to continue to evaluate the use of the Tourism Improvement District funds and to provide quarterly updates on the Welcome Center monthly operation and financial reporting. And so that is why we are here today. Next slide, thank you. So the Welcome Center has submitted reports, and this time frame again is from July 23 to the end of September 23, and they're reporting the highlights focused on they were engaged on social media. They had 19 posts with an average of 350 site visitors. Assemblymember Robert Rivas visited the center. They've really been focusing on heritage tourism, and they were awarded $50,000 to develop the Valleys of Anza display at their location. In terms of posts, again, 19 posts, over 3,000 website visits. That's broken down by the California Welcome Center website, which is shown in red, and the overall state website, Soul of California, which is shown in yellow. There were an average of 350 visitors to the center, and they participated in ongoing monthly meetings with the County Visitors and Convention Bureau to evaluate strategies to better engage the hoteliers and to work with them to promote events and boost overnight stays. Next slide, please. In terms of financials, Q1 reporting focused on the amount collected. Assessment was $53,278. And if you divide that number by 50 cents, that would indicate that there were 106,556 overnight room stays for this assessment to be collected. And based on our contractual agreement with the Welcome Center, which is for an amount not to exceed $120,000 over the 12-month period, it's broken down into $10,000 a month. Based on their reporting, submission of reporting, we have passed through $30,000 to the Welcome Center. And that is my summary of the report, and their actual, what they submitted, showing their data analytics, their tracking report, is all part of your finance packet. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. We'll move on to committee member questions. Committee member Osornio.
Well, you just answered the only question I had, which what are we actually using to verify the information that they're giving us? Because
Yes,
obviously for us, we see the graph, but if can you talk just a little bit more specifically? I know you said just a couple of the things now, but kind of what that process is about verifying the information they give us?
So at this point, we're not doing specific validation of information provided, we have created a report template that we started using in October 2022, which asks them to track daily visitor count, material distributed, social media posted, meetings with hotel operators, and any special events hosted. And so there's a tracking for each month. In their submission, they fill in the visitor count. They've indicated that they are not distributing new material or doing any direct in-person surveys due to concerns with COVID, health and safety. That's listed on the report. And then they provide their data analytics for their social media and website presence that indicate the number of hits, the length of time that is spent on the website, and if there's any further activity that occurs after that visit.
Thank you, Lisa. No further questions, Chair.
Thank you. In your professional judgment, do you think this would be in line with what most welcome centers would provide to their respective cities, or any area we could improve? What are your thoughts?
I think that's something we should look at. My only other direct experience was the visitor center that was located at Lake Elistero in Monterey. And I think location and visibility have a lot to do with traffic and access. And so we are working to enter into a contractual agreement to do further analysis of the existing conditions, the circulation, connectivity, how we can better support the train facility, that area, and the other activities as a whole. Because I think that has a lot to do with it. The lack of signage, directional traffic is a factor. But definitely, we could look into and do some comparison of data to other visitor centers.
Thank you. Those are all of my questions. We'll go out to the public. If there are any members of the public that would like to comment on this item. Seeing none in the council chambers, we'll go out to Zoom.
No comment.
All right, we'll bring it back, and there is no action required on this item, so we'll consider the report received. We'll move on to our fiscal year 24-25 budget engagement presentation.
Good afternoon, Jose Arriola, Community Safety Administrator. I'm here to speak to you about our plans for the community engagement fiscal year 24-25 budget. Just some context setting, in August of 2022, the City of Salinas, a cohort of the City of Salinas completed the regional Colibri Race Equity Training Learning to Action series. Our Learning to Action team was focused on how to better engage the Salinas residents around the city's budgeting process and get more resident engagement. Our universal goal that we defined as part of this team was to make engagement in the budgeting process available to any Salinas resident that wanted it, and that's the universal goal. Up until that point, our primary engagement had been one, maybe two meetings, and we had recently developed an online survey, which had become very popular and resulted in about 1,000 in its first year, 1,000 responses. Our meetings, however, hover around 40 or 50 for those meetings, 40 or 50 people. So prior to this new engagement, we were engaging maybe 50 or so residents each year, and then with the addition of the online survey, 1,050 or so. So going into the 23-24 budgeting process, we wanted to make sure that we increased engagement. And so we came up with a new set of plans using a cross-departmental team, and then the plans created by the Learning to Action group, which not only had Salinas staff, but also had resident leaders as a part of that team that worked together for a year in crafting some of these plans. Next slide, please. So the engagement strategy used last year expanded the number of community meetings, including a Zoom meeting. We held 3 in person strategically around the city, and you can see they're highlighted there with the red points. We did the expanded promotion of the online survey to make sure we had more engagement on that survey. And then our big addition was the pop-up activities in addition to the community meetings. And it wasn't just one department doing the pop-up activities. We had all departments participating in doing engagements: fire, PD, public works, community development. It was an all hands on deck effort. And internally planning the strategy, we had library community services, the administration department, community development, finance, working together to plan the execution of the meetings and the pop-up activities, which is a huge logistical feat, and very proud of the city coming together at a time when we're not as well staffed as we'd like to be. I think everybody really stepped up, and our results were really strong. Next slide, please. So we nearly tripled our online survey participation, 2,711. Our pop-up activities, which again we hadn't done before around the budget, really added an additional 1,637 respondents. And then our community meetings, because we did more of them, 183 participants. So a really big improvement at least in the number of residents that we engaged. Next slide. And again, I really want to stress the team effort across departments that took place here at the city, which kind of unprecedented in a lot of ways. We don't ask all of our departments to work together on a common goal in that way. We usually have very specific tasks we're all completing, and so it's pretty exciting to see the team working together that way. We want to, of course, learn from last year and execute again this year. And one of the things that helped last year's a budget was created and designated specifically for the outreach effort. It's not huge, but it does help cover the logistical costs and the things like interpretation that are required for the in-person meetings and the development of marketing and promotional materials. And so that carried over for this year. We're very grateful for that. And again, we use that a small but very impactful budget that helps us execute. We want to increase our online survey participation by developing better promotional and marketing strategies. Our pop-up activities here are, the plan initially was to reduce the number city staff did and increase the number of outside support. We are going to be asking a lot of our partners to participate in doing pop-ups and make it available for them to do that as well in areas where we may not normally think of doing a pop-up. And so that ask is still out there, although we don't have that number defined yet. I think that's an aspirational goal of 20. I will say the staff number will likely increase because we have a lot of internal opportunities for that outreach through our libraries, through our community centers, and our food banks as well that we'll be covering as well. We're going to reduce the number of community meetings and primarily make one in English and one in Spanish. And again, that's a very strategic move because though we did have good participation in a lot of our community meetings, there were a lot of duplicates also. We had a number of people who went to all 3 meetings. And though we love that enthusiasm, it doesn't really help our exposure and reaching new people, which is the goal of those meetings. And we're going to try to reduce the duplicity by making one in English marketing as an English meeting that will have interpretation available at both, and the second meeting in Spanish only with English interpretation available to anybody who might need it. Next slide, please. The timeline for this engagement is swift because in order for this to be impactful, we need the information gathered, the data gathered to get to the ears of our department directors so that the budget they're presenting all of you at council is reflective of what the community is saying. And in order for them to have that information in time, we need to have it to them at the end of February. And so we have a lot of work to do. The survey did open in mid-December. To date, we have about 400 respondents. We have a lot more marketing to do to increase that number, and it'll remain open through February. The pop-up activities have not quite yet begun, although we have begun planning them and scheduling them. And so we are well on our way to making sure that happens. And then the community meetings are set, and you'll see aggressive marketing promotion happening as of this week. For February 8th and the 15th, the locations will be Sherwood Hall and the Breadbox Community Center, respectively, with the English meeting happening at Sherwood Hall and the Spanish meeting happening at the Breadbox. We'll close the survey officially on the 21st and develop all the data and for use by our directors in the development of their budgets on the 26th. And that is my presentation. I did just want to thank Monica Gremillan, who helped develop today's presentation. And again, I work as part of a great team that's helping develop this entire plan of the different departments that I mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Questions from the committee?
I'm going to reserve for comment.
I had a question for you. Do you partner with school districts to attend their LCAP meetings or school site council meetings and do a pop-up there? Because I think that would be a good opportunity to make sure that you're not having the redundant responses in the sense that you mentioned that some people attend to all of them, which is great, but this is reaching out to a group of people that are actively engaged in their community, but perhaps are not attending all of our budget meetings.
Great question. A few months ago, we met with, there's a, not sure what the name of it is, but it's like a school district committee meeting that the city manager would convene, and we presented our outreach plan and our desire to partner with them to present to government classes at the high school level, but also at their parent meetings that they have that may be ongoing. And so we have a relationship developed and an ask out to all of the districts for those different meetings. And the team of neighborhood services coordinators is working on scheduling all of those. And we have a number of them scheduled, but not all of them just yet. Great question.
Thank you. That's my only question. We'll go out for public comment on this item. Can we start the timer, please? 2 minutes for the speaker.
Thank you, committee members, on this. And I just want to reiterate, although when Jose thanked everyone, he didn't thank himself. So thank you, Jose and Monica. You guys have been the leads, but also to Lisa and Kristen and her staff. And I can't forget finance folks, because they're instrumental. And a lot of behind the scenes things go on. Selena and her team are refreshing costs, whether they're healthcare or pension costs or COLA costs, and that all goes into this process that Jose alluded to be a swift process. But we are always listening, and it began as soon as we adopted the budget that we're in now. So thank you.
Thank you. Seeing none, we'll go out to Zoom.
No comment received as well.
Okay, we'll bring it back to the committee for final comments. No direction is needed. Committee Member Osornio.
Yeah, and just as it relates to the budget, I just wanted to say here at the Finance Committee meeting that I know that it was a priority of ours last year to get the budget fully translated in Spanish. I don't know where that's at. I don't know if that's something that we did accomplish with last year's budget, but it just letting folks know that it is a priority to make sure that that's translated. And lastly, I hope I am looking forward to supporting to make sure that there's a budget for all of this community engagement, because it's really great that you pointed that out, because we see a lot of what it takes to be able to put on these community events, and so we want to continue to see that. So just wanted to say that I'm fully supportive of continuing to make sure that there is, even if it's a small budget, to make sure that those community engagement opportunities happen.
Thank you. Yes.
So there is, the budget is in Spanish and it's on the website currently, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank you for all of your hard work, everyone in the entire city who contributed to this, all of our community partners. It's really something that stands out, something that the city does really well, and I brag about it all the time to other council members all across Monterey County and across the state of California, because it's something that's really taken new interest. It's how do you engage people in the budget process? And so I'm always sharing with people what it is that we do, and it's really awesome. And so thank you for all that you do. Our community greatly appreciates it, and I also support the budget line item for this kind of work. It's important. If we want to have quality engagement and responses, we need to invest in a framework that allows for that to happen. So happy to support this, and no action is needed on this item, so we'll consider this report received. Thank you. And with that, our next meeting is Tuesday, February 6th, 2024, and I will adjourn the meeting at 2:30 PM.